Once you get your hips, hi Paige, come on in. Hips settled down to your mat. Start with your deep breath in and exhale. Allow yourself to feel how it is for you in your body right now, different from starting with an idea of what you want to have happen. Instead, open yourself up to discovery. When you take your next inhale, lift your body up into downward facing dog. One of our organizing principles of our style of yoga, Baptiste Yoga, is to be intentional in creating the physical foundation of the pose. So that's your hands and feet right now. Spread your fingers out and squeeze each fingertip into the mat. And even set your feet kind of wide so that your feet feel very stable to you. And then you can soften your knees so that you have a feeling of dragging your hips back, dragging the weight out of your wrists. Take a couple more breaths here. A little softening to your knees. Yep, keep your hands where they are, and then let your hips drag back. It takes the weight out of your wrists. Then look forward and step up to the front of your mat. When you get to the front, lift up halfway, stretch your whole torso long, and hang down. Fold your arms and sway from side to side. As you're swaying, let your body just hang down heavy toward the ground. While you're able to look at your feet right now, pick your 10 toes up and spread them out and just settle your weight evenly through the whole bottom surface of your foot. And once you've got that, you can then sink your feet like they're sinking into sand down into your mat. Take another breath, press your feet down, come rolling up to standing. Once you're standing tall, sweep your arms overhead, look up and stretch, and then bring your hands into prayer position and just pause. Create the intention for your practice. We'll chant Om together 3 times to create a clearing for the practice. Take a deep breath in. Inhale, reach up, fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift halfway, then step back, high plank position. Press your heels back, look forward, low plank position. Upward facing dog, lift your chest, downward facing dog. Now, when you go from the high plank to the low plank, really keep your shoulders set on your back and your belly strong. You're welcome to have your knees on the ground. Take one more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees, jump or step up to your hands. Then lift up halfway and fold. Now really press your heels into the ground. Then stand up, look up and reach, fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway, high plank, low plank as you exhale. Inhale, upward facing dog. Make your neck long. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Take a deep breath in and maybe take a sigh. You're all in a little bit of a different space. So together we'll do one more deep breath in. When you exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold, feet pressed down, stand up. This is extended mountain pose. Reach, fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift halfway, low plank by stepping or floating. Upward facing dog, just roll over your toes, downward facing dog. It can be helpful to take a sigh when you're in the breathing in any pose. I always find that what that does is has me feel more released in the pose. Take one more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Inhale, stand all the way up and reach. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Lift halfway, low plank on your exhale. upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now explore the foundation. See if you're a little bit more warmed up and you can make it a little longer from hands to feet. That might require you bending your knees a little bit more so you can really stretch back out of your hands. Take one more breath in, bend your knees on the exhale, and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Take chair pose, sit into your heels and reach your arms, then fold to the floor as you empty. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and lunge for warrior one. Look up and reach up. Then bring your hands to the floor for the low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left side step. Anchor your feet to the mat. Then reach high, hands to the floor for chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. This section of our sequence is just about waking up, getting present to your body, how it feels when you press your hands and your feet into the mat, how it feels when you feel your breath moving. One more breath in. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, sit, inhale, reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, step to your low push-up. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right foot forward, back foot flat, lunge and bend your knee, reach, hands to the floor. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left side step. Deep lunge, reach up, hands to the floor, chaturanga. So you can always skip the push-up in between downward facing dog, in between those two side lunges. I'll show you that spot that I mean as we go through the next round. Take another breath. When you exhale, look forward and then move up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, like you're sitting and reaching for chair, reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, high plank to low, upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Right foot forward and lunge, reach your arms up, then hands to the floor, chaturanga, or just switch the sides. Up dog to down dog. Now the left foot forward. So you can skip the two sides of this push up. Up dog, reach up, hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. One of the best things about our practice is that you can customize it. So it's pretty relatable, pretty similar time after time, so that you can go deep with each pose, knowing your body and creating healing through the practice. Take another breath. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold, last round. Chair pose, sit and reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Right foot forward for the lunge. Back foot flat, reach up, then hands to the floor, low push-up, or switch sides, up dog to down dog, then the left foot forward. That's what's next. Reach up, hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. That's it. Settle in and breathe. So we're all going to be moving a little bit at a different pace as we get woken up and warmed up together. Now next, raise your right leg into the air. Bend your knee, bring your heel to your hip and turn your hips open. Stay right here in your three-legged downward dog as you stretch all the way through the right side of your body. And then from here, with your right leg, step it forward to the outside of your right hand and lunge deep forward. You can keep your right knee as best you can, hugging your right arm. Your hands can be on the floor or on a block and lunge. If this feels like you want to customize it a little more, you could put your back knee on the ground. Breathe right here. If you have your knee off the ground and you're looking for a little more challenge, you can tuck your right arm just under your right leg and hold on to your right ankle. That might be enough for now, just reaching through to the other side of your foot. Then bring your hands to the floor, step back to downward facing dog. Raise your left leg into the air, bend your knee heel to your hip, and open up your hip. Now stretch. You can do that by pressing your left hand into the mat and reaching your left knee up and away from your left hand. Make the whole line of your left body long and lean, and then just breathe into it. Open up the space with your breathing. Then step your left foot outside of your left hand and lunge. It's a lizard lunge. Breathe. Knee hugging your arm. Feel free to take any customization, whether it's back knee down or reaching under with your left arm. So far under, even maybe that your shoulder tucks under your knee. Couple more breaths. Then hands to the floor for downward facing dog. Raise your right leg into the air one more time. Bend your knee, heel to your hip. Now flip the pose over 2 feet to the floor. You can take it by flipping, or you could bring your knees to the ground and spin around on your seat and have the left hand on the ground and the right arm like it's serving a tray of food. And in this way, you'll also stretch your chest. One more breath here. Then side plank, right hand on the mat, 2 straight legs or a bottom bent knee or a top bent leg. You can make any modification from this that you'd like. You could intensify the pose by lifting your top leg into the air. Take another breath, and then for everyone, high plank to low plank pose. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now raise your left leg into the air. Bend your knee, heel to your hip, and turn your hips open. You can always bring your right knee to the mat for customization. Flip the pose over then, 2 feet to the floor to wheel pose. 2 more breaths. Feel your whole body expand and soften. Strong belly, now side plank. Left hand to the mat. Face the long right side of the mat and stack your body up. You got it. Lately, I'm so interested in pressing the edge of my bottom foot, the left foot, into the mat and stretching long up through the left side of the body into the armpit. So edge of the bottom foot down into the mat and away, and bottom armpit to the front of the mat. High plank to low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward to crescent lunge. Front leg, bend your thigh until it's parallel to the floor. You could also bring your back knee to the ground. Then hands to prayer position, press them strong together. Lean forward and activate your back leg, whether it's knee on the ground or not, and twist, elbow to your right knee, left elbow. So you'll twist into your leg. Once you get your elbow placed on your knee, keep lifting the pit of your belly up. You got it. Then open your arms, wrap your top arm behind your back. Now, if you can, from your head reaching forward and your heel reaching back, stretch your whole body long. 3 breaths. With your body long, on the exhales, you twist. You've got 1 more. Exhale and twist, then come up to crescent lunge, open to warrior 2. Deep, deep lunge. Stretch your arms long apart and tilt for extended side angle. You can reach a hand to the floor and a hand to the ceiling. Once you get the tilt set up, bend your front knee a little bit more than it was and reach. Stretch your whole body apart. You can wrap your top arm behind your back and let it pull and roll your shoulder behind your back. If you'd like, you can reach under your front knee and hold hands, fully binding the pose. Then from this last position, lunge deep and lift your chest to the ceiling. That's it. 1 more breath, more belly, lift your chest, hands to the floor for chaturanga. Do you feel how when you get tired, the belly goes tired, but your back squeezes up and takes up the slack? Downward facing dog. Step your left foot forward for crescent lunge. Hands pressing in prayer position. Maybe it's just the fingertips. Maybe it's your whole palm. I find the fingertips is really grounding for me. Back knee on the floor or really press your heel back. Lean forward and tilt. Right elbow to your left knee. Lunge deep. For many of you who are experienced with this pose, you can lift your right hip a little higher into the air. It'll be right about there. Make your body long and twist. So heel back, chest forward, and twist. 2 more. There, Kelly. Does that feel like awful? Twist. Reach up to crescent lunge. All the way up. Warrior 2. Open up to your warrior 2 and settle into your feet. Feel the 4 corners of your front foot and your back foot. Just be intentional in how you're setting up this physical foundation of the pose. Keep your physical foundation powerful. Stretch your arms and tilt. Extended side angle. Deep, deep lunge. So from that foundation, the intentionally set foundation, you then have access to the sense of being up to something bigger than yourself. That might be the bind. If you've really got your back foot, the foot from your straight leg, you might be able to reach 2 arms in front of you. Now for everyone, strong pit of the belly. So there's a lot of length in your lower back. 2 more breaths. Go down in your lunge and lift your chest with the bind. Last breath. Hands to the floor for chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Stretch out. Use this downward facing dog to stretch from your hands on the ground all the way up and back to your hips. You might even claw your hands a little more forward on your mat and more length. Add more to the stretch. Take another breath in. Breath out, bend your knees, and jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair twist, sit back into your hips, way back, hands to prayer, and twist left elbow to your right knee. If you could imagine, there's an assist of someone squeezing the sides of your hips and pulling back while you resist and stretch forward. Yeah, just like that. Hips back, chest forward. You got to open up your arms, maybe reach between your knees so you can fully bind the pose. You'll wrap your top arm behind your back. The arm between your knees will reach through and hold hands outside of your left hip. Some of you may stand up into a bird of paradise from there. There are millions of steps along the way that could be the best pose for you today. You'll know that by what you feel in your own body and can you still breathe. 1 more breath. Forward fold and hang. Open your feet hip width distance. Hook your big toes and stretch down. So you might want to just move your weight from side to side. Shake out your shoulders. Shake out your head. See if you can allow for your whole spine to be long. So from the broadening of the back of your pelvis, length down the whole of your spine all the way through to your skull. In this pose, take a breath in, fill up, open up your mouth and sigh. Chair twist the other way, feet together, sit back and reach. Bring breath. You want to really inhale and get the stretch. And exhale, bring the hands and twist. Right elbow to your left knee. So be careful. There's this little habit that we can develop of once the elbow's there, of kind of flinging the ribs over to the side. From the bird's eye view, what that would look like in your right back body is a lot of curving and sinking. Keep your right back body stretching long. Stretch your chest over toward the other side of the room, Missy. That's more going this way. Press your head into my hand. Yeah, keep going like that. Yes. Stretch the back right side of your rib cage. Are you starting to feel that more? Take another breath. Forward fold. So palms under your feet now for a gorilla pose. You stand on your hands and let the weight shift from foot to foot. Maybe wiggle your toes. This is probably a spot where you might not think about your foundation, your feet, and being intentional with how you place and use them here. As you look at them, maybe they've just gone back to the way they do things, to maybe toes turned out or pigeon-toed in. See if you can point them straight ahead and evenly distribute the weight in your feet. If you do that, you may notice across your lower back an opening sensation. One more breath here. Then we'll take crow pose. So put your handstand hands on the ground, knees set wide, right outside of your armpits, and tilt your weight forward until you feel like it's between the edge of your palm and your fingertips. Just tilt forward and get accustomed to that weight, pressing into the floor. Every time you exhale, press a little more. Your shoulders will round a bit. If you're able, pick your feet up. You could even do it with just one foot picking up. You have a lot of choices. Now concentrate on your breathing now that you're here. Deep breath in and exhale, press the floor. Two more like this. Deep breath in, press. You may be noticing your hands are a little more narrow. You'd want them wider next time. Go to chaturanga. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog and stretch out. Take a breath in, have a sigh. One more time, inhale, exhale, bend your knees, look forward and jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Again, set your feet up, parallel, press them down and come rolling up to standing. Take your time, lift your body one bone at a time and stretch arms overhead. Now right side eagle pose. Wrap your right arm under your left, squat down, right leg over your left. See if you can tuck your toes behind your calf muscle. They may or may not. You might even just work it with the squat today. If you do get your arms and your legs bound, hug them together. Your arms hug together, your legs hug together. Feel what that feels like, squeezing in. And then also try what it feels like pulling out on your arms, pulling out on your legs. One more breath and step out. Reach your arms up, left side, left arm under, squat, left leg over. Now steady breathing the whole time as you're holding these balancing poses and as you're shifting and transitioning between them. You may feel like your feet are the only part of your foundation now, just that one foot, and yet the pit of your belly is counted as foundation. Pull it into your body and lift it up to your chin and stand tall. Okay, step out, reach up. We'll do a second set. Right arm under and right leg over. Keep your breath flowing. If you ever find like you've stopped really breathing, you've lost focus of that, begin again with a breath that you just sigh and clear, and then start creating. Step out, arms overhead, left side, left arm under, left leg over. So left arm under and left leg over. Switch legs. Nope, you had your arms. Left arm. Oh, the left arm was the one. Left arm goes under. Yeah, and now that leg goes over. It makes a difference. All right, step out. Reach your arms overhead and then hug your right knee into your chest. A strap is a great tool here. It can be encouraging to hold your knee, and that works well, fine. But then after a while, use the strap and try to extend your knee. It may not totally straighten. And then just as best you can, stand tall, different from forcing the legs straight and leaning back. Then adjust to it, settle into it, feel how it feels in your body. That's it. Open your leg now to the right, look and reach to the left. Use the foundation of your standing foot to press down in the ground so you can lift up tall through your chest and the crown of your head, and then bring your leg forward. Switch hands on your foot or knee. So now your left hand to your right foot or knee, reach to the back of the room. So much going on in this pose, some obvious stretching in your legs, but a lot of interesting stretching in your rib cage on the sides and in the back. Come forward, hug your knee into your chest, and then open up for airplane pose. Keep your breath flowing. Steady breathing. Sometimes you have to imagine your foundation. And right now, that could be that your foot in the air. Could you imagine what it would be like if it was pressing into a wall behind you? Press your kicking foot back. When you feel like you have both feet, lift your chest, then hands to prayer position, half moon, left hand to the block or floor, right arm to the ceiling. So for me, when I find I'm losing my balance, I've noticed myself thinking about my balance, lost my breathing, or I'm just not stretching out to the edges. Right here, stretch all the way out to your fingers and your toes to the crown of your head, then forward fold and hang. Good. Sway from side to side. If you're using the strap, grab it and come up to standing. Hug your left knee into your chest. Steady breathing, left knee into your chest. Maybe double check your standing foot. I know for me, if I've shifted my weight at all and I look back down, it's turned the whole way out again. Try to stand with your heel like it's on a line behind maybe your second toe or between your second and third toe. Extend your knee if you're doing that. Breathe and adapt to this feeling. I find that I like when there's enough time in this particular stage of the pose to let my body adapt to it. This can sometimes be one that we get right by. Keep your breath flowing and open your leg to the left. Look and reach to the right. Breathe. Inhaling and exhaling. Bring your leg forward. Switch hands. So right hand to the left knee or foot. Turn and reach to the room behind you, the space behind you, to the back of your mat. Stand tall. See if you can really feel like you're settled into the corners of the foot on the floor. Come forward. Hug your knee into your chest. Airplane pose. Yeah. Wiggle the toes of the foot that's in the air and just get from your brain to your toes connected. And then head forward to the front of your mat. That lifted foot back. Hands to prayer position, half moon. You may find here that you're inclined to turn your toes inward a little bit, and that's okay. That would have to do with your inner thigh being a little tight or your hip a little tight. Give yourself the accommodation that you need to feel really stable in the pose if you're able. Then look up and reach up. One more breath. Forward fold and hang. Let yourself hang and just be settled. And then come rolling up to standing. Arms overhead. Drop your right arm behind you. So if they're palms together, open it up, palm facing out. Bend your right knee and hold your ankle from the inside. Start with your knees together. So you want this quality of your arm bone moving back and then your forearm rolling open. If you feel like you got caught with it tucked forward, you'll feel restricted. So open it up and then start to kick and reach. So bring the breathing. I'm going to help you shift your hand grip just a second. Feel how your shoulder feels right now. And then take your hand off your foot, spin it. Feel the difference? That's a tricky grip. You will be probably shown that a lot of times before it really settles in. Okay, switch sides. Switch sides. So now if your arms are overhead and the palms are clapping, roll it open and then the palm faces out. Bend your knee, hold your ankle from the inside. It's going to be the awkward way of your arm being positioned, and then kick. I find if I just get kicking and I pull in some tension, yes, that's it. If you find with that arm positioning, you can't quite reach your ankle, another alternative is just to hold the outside, but not roll forward like that. So just hold it from, yeah, that works. Good. Where's the breathing? Another breath and come on out. Feet on the floor and let your whole system settle. Feel how it is in your body right now, how your heart rate is, and we'll take a second set. So right arm back. You're now warmed up and ready for this set. Hold your ankle from the inside. Left arm in the air. Set your gaze. Steady breathing. Now, if in this pose you were to be in the action of being intentional in the physical foundation of your pose, what would that be? And if you got that and you went to the second part of the principle to be up to something bigger than yourself in this pose, what would that be? Come on out. We've got one more side, second set. So now right arm back, hold your ankle either from the inside or you can also be straight on the outside, just not rolled under. Okay, eyes on one spot. Steady breathing. Steady breathing and press the four corners of your standing foot into the floor. Now, I then also like to imagine my other foot is pressing into the ceiling and I can just hang off that tension of the 2 feet pressing. I can stretch my whole torso out of that tension. Come on out of the pose. We'll take tree pose. Left foot on the ground, right foot to your left inner thigh. Press your hands into prayer position. You got it. Hands in prayer position. You can then interlace your fingers and press your palms forward and reach your arms overhead. This will create a stretching on the outside of your forearm that'll be present when we get to the back bends. The extra space you create now will make a difference then. Then you can look up as you reach up and take yourself up as high as possible, lifting your chest up. You may find you also going back. Your body might feel like it does in an upward facing dog. Can you feel the stretch from your foot on the floor all the way up the front of your body to your chin and to the outside edge of your wrist? Switch sides. Right foot down, left foot up. Palms together. This first couple parts of this pose, first couple breaths is for settling. And then when you interlace, put the other pinky finger on the outside. So if I always put my right one on the outside, this time I'll web my hands so my left one's the outside. Press and reach. Pull the pit of your belly in and draw it up to your chin so you get long and lean. Reach up and go back. You've got this. One more breath and step out. Come to the front of your mat. At the front, sweep your arms overhead and fold to the floor as you exhale. Lift halfway, whole side long, then chaturanga. It's the name of the low push-up. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right side triangle. Let's do it this way. Step your right foot forward, take warrior one. I always take it from the floor. Let's take it from the standing position today. Take warrior two next. Then flip your front palm up. Let your back hand graze your back thigh and reverse the warrior. So you want to stay in a deep lunge and stretch this whole right side of your body up to your pinky finger. Now, one way that we miss the opportunity in this pose is to just let the belly hang. So pull the pit of your belly in so the whole right side of your body stretches. Straighten your front leg, a reverse triangle, and then go into triangle. So from the reverse triangle, reach your right hand forward while your hip crease reaches back. And then rest your fingertips on the block or floor, left arm in the air. From here, anchor your front foot's big toe deep down into the mat and breathe. And see if from the foundation of your front foot's big toe, you could feel your whole front leg, inner thigh stretching. Come on up to standing. Face the long left side of your mat. Feet parallel to the short sides. Forward fold all the way down. Once you get your hands on the ground, you can turn your toes out. Then walk your hands over to your left foot and bend your left knee. Pivot on your right heel, toes up to the ceiling, and bring more stretching to your inner thigh. We just worked with this right inner thigh in the triangle. Here we are to bring it into more stretching. And then walk your hands the opposite way. We haven't quite gotten to this inner thigh. Here's the first breath and first stretch for it. Then you can shift back and forth in these ninja lunges. If you're able to switch back and forth and not have your hands on the ground, you're welcome to do that. When you feel complete, come back to the center. All the way into the forward fold, then come on up to standing. When you get up to standing, turn to face the front of your mat. We'll take standing single leg forward fold. So we want width to the feet, not a foot behind the other foot. And we need some length to the feet. You can bring your hands to your hips and just work from your front foot big toe mound all the way up to your right sitting bones in pressing the foot and lifting the hip back. And then you can start to fold. You may need a soft knee. You'll likely feel this in your hamstrings, back of the knee, and even in your calf muscles as you fold with purpose. Beware of locking your front knee. Yeah, keep a little, at least micro bend to it as you fold. Once you get into your fold, you may find a spot where it's perfect for you to stop. You can stay right in the halfway point. If you're able to fold further, you can. You can even rest your hands on a block as you just adapt to the stretching in the back of your leg. Then feel how you have weight even between your 2 feet and keep that. Then twisting triangle. Bring your arm of the leg that's back to the ground. You're going to bring that one down. Yeah. And twist toward the leg that's forward. Now keep some weight in your back leg. So shift some back if you can, Kelly. So out of this hip, into this leg, and back. Yes. Oh, hamstrings. Take another breath. Stretch long with it and twist. There you go. Hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. This downward facing dog is always our chance to create neutral, to stretch the body long. So once I got some stretching, the other one didn't. It may feel different on the 2 sides, but you can just create a clean slate here. Then left foot forward, take the warrior 1. So it's left foot forward, back foot flat, and you reach up. Then turn and open to the warrior 2. Flip the left palm up, reverse the warrior. So the deeper you keep the lunge, the more length you're going to get up through this left side body. You can straighten your front leg, reverse up and back, reverse triangle, and then shift to triangle. So you'll reach all the way across the room with your left fingertips. Shift your hips back to the back of your mat, and then from floor to ceiling, you reach. Front foot, big toe, press it down. A micro bend in the back of your knee, and sink your hip crease deep. Yeah, put it over here if you can. Once you get your big toe down, you have that micro bend, you'll really, keep sinking the crease of your hip. You've got it. Then just maybe add the pit of your belly. There, do you feel that in your lower back stretching? Good job. Keep stretching and reaching and breathing. One more breath here. See how it's opposite? Like this spins down and this spins open. Come on up to standing. Turn to face the long right side of your mat. Arms behind you, interlace your hands and open up your chest. Then forward fold. All the way down. And then just double check your feet. Yep, that's it, Gracie. Even a little more, heels wide. And if you can, the micro bend here as well to the back of your knees. Breathe. Let it be that your ribs are just hanging, one a little heavier than the last. So you're getting all the space between your ribs that you can breathe into. Our practice gives us an access when we're intentional to going inward, becoming present, and also taking very deep breath. Come on up to standing. Turn and face the front of your mat, standing single leg forward fold. You can take hands on your hips. There are many other arm variations, but we did this one on the other side. Fold. The default to keep this short is going to leave you in a bowing instead of a folding. We want to really think about the hips going back, away from the chest going forward. Can be interesting to take your hands behind your back and interlace your fingers. And with them interlaced, press them back while your head and chest move forward. Find that interesting middle space where you feel like your body just locks into balance. Once you've got that, it's twisting triangle. The hand of the back foot goes down to the ground or the block. So for you, the left, yeah. Then you turn toward the front leg. Now, Kelly, do you feel how you're leaning over to your hand and your hips going to your sister? So more forward and back if you can. So that means weight in your back leg. What's that? You're doing a great job. Yeah, I know. Yes, exactly. So as Kelly said, I'm trying so hard. And we always all are. The great thing about taking class with a teacher is they can see what you can't feel. There's the middle. I need help. My teacher needs help. And that's probably a sign also of a stronger practitioner is when you know you need a block and you know you could use a teacher's eye. Then it feels really different, doesn't it? Okay, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Good work. Downward facing dog, stretch back. You're never doing it wrong. I might want to make sure to say that to you. You're never doing it wrong. Okay, come to a high plank position and lower down to your belly on the mat. We'll take the locust poses. Let's do this. Turn your toes under like in the push-up, how you had them when you were doing the push-up, and activate your legs. So my feet are really active. My feet will stretch my heels back. And take your arms around behind you and interlace your hands and press your hands back to your feet. Now, I find when I do this, essentially, to get it to happen, I press my ribs into the ground. So that's a default. I want to keep gathering my belly so I stay as long and lean as I can in this pose. Take another breath and come on down. You can wiggle your hips from side to side. Let's do a second set. Any arm variation, continue with the one we were just using. So toes turned under, hands interlaced, heels, tailbone, hands pressed back, while the whole front of your body goes forward. This is the foundational set of elements for any back bend. Strong, organized feet. Broad back to your pelvis. Engaged pit of the belly. Come on down. You can wiggle your hips from side to side. Then hands on the floor reach back, bend your knees. Let's hold your ankles and flex your feet. Floor bow pose. Try to keep your knees only hip width distance. Kick back and up. All the way back and up. One more breath. Come back down. You can wave your feet from side to side. We'll take a second set. Reach back for your feet. Now, you reached and held the outside of your ankles. You could reach through, roll your shoulders open, and hold the inside of your ankles. Kick back and kick up. There you go. See if you can sigh and let something that's working hard be softened. Come down. Hands beside your ribs, upward facing dog. Come all the way up, lift up, look up, shoulders back, downward facing dog, stretch back. Knees to the ground for camel pose. They're hip width distance, so not knees set super wide, just hip width distance, toes turned under. Then hands like they're in back pockets, lift up. I can feel my knees pressing down while I lift my chest up. Knees down while your chest goes up. Keep on lifting up and feel even the stretching in the front of your neck without just the dropping of your head. You want to have a long front, sides, and back of the neck. Maybe you're ready to reach down for your feet. You could also have tall blocks beside your calf muscles that you're reaching for. Then, while you're holding the pose and breathing, it's knees down, chest up. Notice if you feel in your lower back or at your bottom ribs any kind of collapsing. If you do, pull your belly in and get a little longer, a little leaner. Next breath, inhale and come up out of the pose. Downward facing dog to stretch. Blank slate. Can squeeze the mat and pedal your feet and just stretch your hips up and back. Second set, knees down. Some of you who did reach for your feet, instead of toes turned under, you could point them this time. That'll take you back a little deeper because your heels will be not as high. Second set, camel pose. Feel how it is in the pose right now and become aware of anywhere that you feel like you might be just settled in the pose. What would it be to bring more space to that settled spot? Settled is really different than ease. Come on Up out of the pose, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Reach back and stretch. Then you can move through your hands, sit down, and roll onto your back for bridge pose. Once you're on your back, bend your knees, set your feet up underneath of your knees and hip width distance. Then press your feet into the ground, lift your hips up into the air. Once you get your hips up, tuck your shoulders behind your back. Hi, Sailor. Tuck your shoulders deep and then feel your feet. Let your feet feel like when you're standing at the edge of the ocean and the water's coming up and they just sink down into the ground, and hug them in toward each other. Breathe right here, feet sinking and hugging. One more breath and come on down out of the pose. Knees side to side. We'll take the next set. Next set, bridge pose. Feet down, hips up. Breath flowing. Once you get your feet set, hug your right knee into your chest. Do it without moving the foot that's staying on the floor. See if you can do that. Then you put that foot on the floor and try the other one. Now, lifting your feet up into the air would not be the best thing if you had a lot of pain in your lower back. Put your foot on the floor and come on down, knees side to side. We'll do one more bridge before we move into the wheel poses. Bring yourself up into a bridge pose. This one, as long as your lower back feels good, put your right ankle on your left thigh with a flexed foot and drop your right knee back down toward the ground. You got it. So, but up in the air. Yeah, so it looks like this. So you have it like this. Your shoulders and elbows can press down. Your standing foot, all four corners into the mat. And then you just dip down, hips touch, and come up. You can take that 3 times, dipping your hips, bringing them up. I like having my 5 toes in the air. When you finish that, put your right foot on the floor. Settle into the center of the pose. Take the other side. 3 little dips. Just gently, like just barely kissing your hips to the ground. Then back up. Get settled in that. Foot on the floor and come back out. Knees side to side. Does that bring like fire to your hamstrings and your hips? Let's go for the wheel pose next. So we'll start in the bridge because you may all just stay in the bridge, or fingers to the ceiling, flex your wrists, tuck your hands under your shoulders as far as they'll go. And once you have your hands set, press down and rise up. All the way up. You got it. Let your hands sink down into the mat so you can really feel the pressure on the thumb side, just like you're letting your feet sink. And from your hands to the center line and your feet to the center line, hug in. Come on down. Knees side to side. Let's do the next one. Set it up. Press down, rise up. All the way up. You've got it. All the way up into your pose. Here you can bring your right knee into your chest. All the way into your chest as far as it'll go. And foot on the floor. Left knee into your chest as far as it'll go. Foot on the floor and come on down. Knees side to side. Side to side. Now we'll take our last one. Come into your bridge pose first. Make that 4 that we had done before where your ankle came to your knee in the bridge pose. Hands to the floor, ready for the wheel pose. So you've got the shape in your legs. Press down, rise up. That might be the hardest wheel you've ever done. It's a little tricky. Just giving you a little spice in your afternoon. Press with your hands. Press with your hands. Drive your foot down. Okay, that is not a winner today. There, Gracie got it. Come on down. You're coming down. We got one more side to go, so we have one more pose to go. Switch to the other side. Let's see if the other leg can do what the first leg did. I think I have one person. You have one person on that side. Now this side could be very different, so give it a try. So now it's the left ankle on your right thigh. Come up into your bridge first. Did you get it, Neil? Almost. Come up into your bridge. Set your hands. Now press. That's it, sailor. Press, press, press. You got it. Press down, press down, press down. So close, so close. I got a few people getting that. Come on down. I like to challenge you all from time to time. Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles together, knees open. Now you have a brand new challenge. You can do it in any class. There are endless challenges. And that you practice a fairly set sequence lets you start to really know your body and bring in the kind of new strength and challenges that build new poses. Alrighty, hug your knees in and take dead bug pose. So you'll hold the outer edges of your feet, pull your knees back to your shoulders, and just rock side to side. Lately, my favorite when we are getting to the stability exercises is to really build foundational core strength. So let's see here. I'm going to just bring you some blocks. Take your block and hug it between the arches of your feet. Hopefully you were lucky enough to have a foam block, not a cork block. Gracie's going to be dying. You can hug it between your legs, but for everybody else, hug it like you're standing and gently getting it with the arches of your feet. Then make a tabletop with your legs and curl up. Reach to the mat where your feet are, whether it's the top of your mat through the practice, and just hug with the arches. Then really curl up so you feel the whole of your lower back on the ground. For some, you may just stay right here. For others, breathe in and exhale, touch your heels and come up. And touch your heels and come up. Now, you can't arch your lower back. Keep the pit of your belly sinking deep as you're taking these heel touches. So you're really going to need to sink your belly, hug this block, and reach to keep that deep curving hollow of the body. Take 3 more. Feel like you're getting it? That your pelvis isn't rocking? It's pretty tricky. Finish the last one. Hug your knees into your chest. How's that going for you guys? That's always such a silent activity. Are you able to keep your whole lower back on the ground? That's your handstand hollow body. So we're building a very good handstand skill there. All right, hug the block once again, right there between the arches of your feet, and press your feet to the ceiling like they're standing there. So you really feel the inner ankle bone muscles holding the block, and then curl again. Now this time you'll reach for your toes without arching your back. Breathe in, blow out, and curl a little bit. Fingers closer to your toes, and blow out and curl. Don't worry about the pulsing motion that's here. It can be tiny. What we're just looking is for you to be curled at the ribs and every exhale to sink your belly. That might be quite a killer. Just to reach might be enough many days. Finish the last one and hug your knee into your chest. You can remove the block. It's good, huh? Now we'll take scissor legs. So make your right leg be the one that hovers, your left leg in the air. And then you're going to curl till you feel your lower back on the ground again. You might need to soften your knee and just let your heel rest if that's what it takes. And it will for many people. Breathe in here and exhale, switch. Breathe in and exhale, switch. Or straight legs and switch. And switch and keep on going. Thighs wrapping in, lower back on the mat. Go 5 more times, 4 more times, 3, 2, and 1. Hug your knees. Why don't you stretch out long? I bet that's going to feel really good here. Whole body long on the mat. I think that's like one of the best feelings in the world. Stretch out long. So stay right here on your back and bend your knees, feet on the floor. You can take your right foot off of your mat and then just drop your right knee down and in. So if you picked your head up, you'd be seeing straight down the body. You can stay right here, foot flexed. Keep the pit of your belly strong. Your hip will lift a little bit, your right hip, but try to minimize the amount of lift. Now, at first, I feel a lot of stretch down my inner quad and my inside knee. As long as there's not a pinching or twinging in the knee, that's okay. Then you could add intensity by putting the left ankle midway on the right thigh, drag your ankle down toward your knee, and let your left knee drop toward the ground. And with the pit of your belly, keep fighting to keep this right hip not to lift too much. It will lift some. Everyone's body will be different. Maybe you have a body that's flexible in this inward rotation and your hip doesn't lift at all. So it's an inward rotation of your thigh bone. inward rotation in the hip, the right hip right now. And switch to the other side. How's that feel? It's like weird and good all at the same time. Okay, come on out of this. Roll your feet overhead for plow pose or straight up in the air for waterfall. When you get to the plow, if that's what you're taking, take a breath and try to soften and relax, particularly in your neck. If you feel as though you have really flattened out your neck, see if you can let it get a little softer, so the sense of the back of your neck and its curve rising up into your body. Then start to bring yourself back out of this pose onto your flat back and hug your knees into your chest. Once you get onto your flat back with your knees hugging into your chest, drop your knees to the left and look and reach to the right. Gentle. And then switch sides. Take a breath. To the center for Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles together, knees open wide. In the studio, you have a cold eye towel to your upper right or left side of your mat. Sometimes I like to tuck it under my neck, otherwise over the front of my neck or forehead. When you feel like your body's comfortable, stretch your legs out long and wide and your arms wide for Shavasana. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, squeeze your fingers and your toes. Then bring your knees into your chest and roll to your side. From your side, come up to a sitting position. Once you're sitting tall, sweep your arms overhead. Then bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest. And then one last time, we'll chant together. So take a deep breath in. Bring your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead. Pause for a moment. Set an intention from here for the rest of your day. I am, and fill in the blank. A deep breath in. And exhale. Namaste. Thank you. I always find this Wednesday 4:00 class is such a transformation from the beginning of it to the end. It always feels at the beginning so middle of the week, and by the end, like, I got this. So thank you for coming and sharing it with me. Himalayan Institute, December 1st through 4th. I would love to see you there. Happy to answer any questions. Get your bingo challenge cards. They're here. They're at the front desk. They're at the cubbies where you put your belongings. It starts on Saturday. You can start filling in the blank and winning a few little yoga tools for yourself. All right, see you next time. Sailor, you have to stay and take the next class. Oh, 5:45 is the next one. But I'm so glad you came.